Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over adding a sub and an amp into the back of my Audi S5. It has the Bang & Olufsen. Similar process if you have just the upgraded Audi whatever with the factory sub, makes it easier. If not, just some minor differences that I'm sure you'll be able to figure out, but let's get started. All right, so first thing we're going to do, up in this hole here right beside the sub, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but up in there there's a connector for the sub. We're going to unplug it, pull it back out of this hole so we can tie into it. All right, once you get the wire out, I forgot something. Our stitch ripper from a sewing kit. We use that to hook in there and cut through the tape. So we have a little bit more length to work with there. Okay, so once you have your extra length exposed, you can get your wire strippers up there. Strip a couple sections of wire. Twist your wires on there. And you'll grab your soldering iron. Get up there, heat the copper till it's hot enough to melt the solder so you don't have a cold solder. And then you dab the solder on the copper, not on the iron, and it draws towards the heat. Let that cool down. And then you can tape up your connections. Or if you want and you're not going to be reconnecting it to your factory sub anyways, which I'm not, but I'm leaving it like this so that it's an easier option down the road, you could cut, heat shrink, do it however you want. I've seen some people use Scotch locks. I wouldn't recommend that, but that is entirely up to you. Now I don't remember if I mentioned it, but the amp I'm using has high level in, so that's why I'm doing it this way. If your amp doesn't have high level in, you can use a line output converter, and that'll just give you connections for RCAs then into the amp. But now that that's done, we can stuff that back up there into its home. And like I said, I'm not going to be plugging it back in because I don't want that sub to be doing anything. We can route the wire as you see fit, and we'll get it routed and be back on the next step. All right, now that we got that, you can route it however clean you want. I'll take care of that once the box is in, and we'll see what's going to be the best option for me. But once you got that done, we got to get to the battery. I'll get your spare tire cover out of there. And get your spare out. Alright, once the spare's out, get this cover out. Now is as good a time as any. Check the pressure on your spare if you haven't done so in a while. Now that we got access to the battery, we can connect our positives and negatives. Since we're so close to where the amp's going to be, I'm connecting the negative straight on. So let's connect the negative. We won't actually connect the positive quite yet. Alright, so once we're under here, whatever, you can connect to the battery and ground however you want. I'm going to do it, my ground's going to go down here to this ground, just to neaten things up coming off of there so that all the covers still fit good. And then for positive, you'll need a fuse to jump from there to there, similar to that. So I'm going to go get a fuse, probably just going to run to a scrapyard and pick one out of another Volkswagen. Make sure it's appropriately rated for your setup. So we'll get that, we'll get the trunk back together. We'll move on to the next step. All right. Now that we got the wires run, let's slip carpet back in. Set in place, go back there, pull the wires how we want them to be. All right, now let's get the amp mounted to the box and all that good stuff, and we'll get it all connected. Okay, so for the remote trigger, there's my flashlight. Okay, so for the remote trigger, I tested. This whole bank is ignition power only. So I put a spade connector on the end of the wire, put it in there so I'm not doing anything with the other fuses, even though it wouldn't matter. But I put a spade connector, it's in on its own thing. Ran it under the carpet to the back. And that's it. So other than that, you can make any adjustments to how you like it to sound and all that, but she's all in, she's set up, and I mean, your experience will vary sound-wise depending on the equipment that you get. So I hope you guys enjoyed, hope you learned something, hope it was helpful for you guys, and we'll catch you on the next one. Until then, fix it until it breaks. Later.